And we're back on Jersey Central on the new Talk Radio 1450 WCTC, the voice of Central Jersey. Well, coming up tonight at the Bickford Theater at the Morris Museum in Morristown is a very special tribute show that's going to be happening, celebrating the life and the music and the career of the one and only Benny Goodman. And joining me this morning on the Miller Lite Jersey Central Newsmaker Hotline is the guy that's going to be performing tonight, along with a sextet of musicians. Let's welcome in jazz clarinetist Ken Peplowski, who is with us here on WCTC this morning. Ken, hi there. It's Bert Baer, and welcome to WCTC Radio. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Bert?
I'm well, thank you. And I think when people think about, when they hear the word Benny Goodman, maybe you hear a little clarinet riff in your mind, or maybe kind of people have their own sort of impression of what Benny's music was all about. Really a multifaceted, just sort of a character and an artist that people kind of know on different levels, right?
That's absolutely true. Yeah, I actually had the pleasure of working in his last band in 1985, and he was one of those figures that his music meant so much to people. Just the sight of him would reduce people to tears. He had that kind of power in music, which I don't even know if we have that anymore. That kind of impact people had.
Wow, there probably is nobody that has that immediate impact on people. You're absolutely right about that.
Except for me, of course.
Of course. That's where we were headed. But this music here that you're going to be playing tonight, just talk a little bit about some of the performers who are going to be there. And talk about, it's also the 80th anniversary of a special Carnegie Hall jazz show that I guess Benny was part of. Talk about that show and talk about the musicians tonight.
Sure. Well, in 1938, Benny, for the very first time, put jazz into Carnegie Hall. And not just the first time for him, the first time for any jazz musician. So it was a daunting prospect. He had no idea if the audience would accept it or not, because, as you know, that was the dance music of its day, but not really presented as a concert music. Needless to say, big success. And made people rethink about jazz music in terms of not just music you could dance to, but music you could seriously listen to. And in fact, earlier this year, I played a recreation of that concert for Benny's daughters, who now live in Sacramento. So I did that with a big band. And actually, one of the guests that's going to be there tonight, this wonderful vibraphone player named Chuck Red, who I've known for years. He was Charlie Bird's drummer and played with him a long time. I got Chuck on Mel Torme's band with me, and so he's a phenomenal vibraphone player in the style of Lionel Hampton. And we have a great stride piano player named Rossano Sportiello, who's just an absolute virtuoso at the piano. Kevin Dorn is the drummer, again, a guy who understands all of that music. A wonderful bass player named Sean Smith, and a fantastic vocalist named Hillary Gardner, who has her own recordings and also performs with a vocal trio called Duchess.
This is some lineup. This sounds like an all-star team almost, Ken, that you're playing with tonight. And, of course, include yourself and what you've been able to do in this realm. And this is an all-star team that's going to be on the stage tonight.
Well, yeah, I have fun putting together groups for special projects like this, and I try to pick the right people for that concert. And I humbly would like to say that I think I did it tonight, because these people are the best at that kind of music. They really understand it, and they play it. We're not doing a recreation of Benny Goodman. We're playing his music with complete respect to him, but showing people that it's still as contemporary as anything, and it still swings like crazy. And, we want to keep this music alive.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it is going to be happening tonight. It will be alive tonight, of course, at the Morris Museum and the Bickford Theater in Morristown. You could visit morrismuseum.org to get some last-minute tickets and some more information, of course. But it is a 7:30 show tonight, a salute to Benny Goodman with the Ken Peplowski Sextet. It'll be at the Bickford Theater again tonight at 7:30. Your career, Ken, talk about some things you've done. Newport and the Hollywood Bowl, and you've played some big venues throughout your career as well. Talk about what led you on this path and brought you to where you are now.
Well, actually, Benny was one of the guiding forces, because playing clarinet, from an early age, I was listening to him when I was probably 10, 11 years old. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I played my first paying job when I was, I think, 12 years old.
Wow.
My brother and I had a Polish polka band in Cleveland. We were playing weddings and dances and things like that. And that's all I've done since, is play music. And it's funny. And then I moved to New York in 1981, and part of the fun of New York, the excitement of New York, and also the terror of New York is that you never know what pathway your life and your career is going to take, because there's so many musicians here, so many opportunities, and it's kind of a fun and wild ride, through the years. But highlights, I've done a lot of recordings, which I'm proud of. I have a new big band record out called Sunrise, which I'm really happy with. That's
Awesome.
out on the Arbors label, and it's a big band of great New York musicians playing just songs that I like, that I've had arrangements written for over the years.
Awesome. What was the jazz scene like in the early '80s in New York City? Was that kind of like the place to be seen and to be heard playing? Was it New York City in the early '80s?
You know what? It really was. It was. I think I was very lucky to catch, in a sense, the last of all the great kind of swing era musicians, and got to know many of them. People like Zoot Sims and Milt Hinton and Ralph Sutton, and of course Dick Hyman, who's still playing now at the age of 91.
Yeah.
Bucky Pizzarelli.
Wow.
So, and Eddie Condon's was still around, the last version of Eddie Condon's, and there were a lot of opportunities in New York then, and it was really, really exciting time to be there.
Really cool. As far as tonight's venue goes, the Bickford Theater, Ken, have you played this venue before?
I have, and it's a wonderful theater with great acoustics, which is what you want when you're playing a small group jazz concert, because I like it to sound as acoustic as we can get away with, and that's a great theater for that.
Yeah, definitely some great sound tonight. So again, it's at morrismuseum.org. If you want to get some tickets and info, a very limited number of tickets remain for tonight's 7:30 show. A salute to Benny Goodman with the Ken Peplowski Sextet, and it's at the Bickford Theater at the Morris Museum in Morristown there. For a young musician just starting out and maybe wanting to kind of find their own way in the jazz world, Ken, what sort of information or what sort of advice would you give them?
I would say be persistent, don't give up, keep practicing, and listen to as much music as you can, and try to meet as many musicians as you can. You got to be a little bit aggressive too, and try to knock on as many doors as you can. They may not all open, but eventually you'll get a couple that will, and then the opportunities will increase from there.
Well, excellent advice. Well, Ken Peplowski, great speaking with you this morning. Best of luck for the show tonight, which sounds terrific. And this is just another show which is kind of like adding to the great work that we've seen over the past year or a couple of years at the Bickford Theater in Morristown, where it's just some great, great jazz players that are coming in and out. And tonight is no exception. It's the next great chapter in jazz music at the Bickford Theater. So thank you for the time this morning, and have a terrific show tonight, and hopefully we could talk again soon.
I hope so, and thanks so much for taking time out to speak with me.